Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a live stream. As you can see, we have none other than Mr. Jake Ward, aka the Aussie arm wrestler, in the house tonight. How are you, brother?
Hooray, bang! I am very excited. Very excited. Always love coming on and just catching up with you, having a chat, having a yarn, and a bit of a laugh. I just love it. Anytime anyone wants to give me a buzz and say, let's talk arm wrestling, shoot the shit, have a laugh, I am always here up and about.
Tonight was one of those nights. It was one of those nights for me where, man, there's so much lockdown going on. I can't do anything. My mind's going crazy. I'm like, I just need to talk arm wrestling for a while with someone who's a good who's a good person to talk to. And without a hesitation, you were the first person that came to my mind. So I don't know if you're prepared for this, Jake, but in the spirit of Aussie arm wrestler, I got a beer.
Yo, wow, hang on. Hang on, while if we're doing that, my man. Oh, what a... Oh, yeah. I'd have one. Cheers to you and cheers to everyone that has just jumped in. I absolutely love it. Anytime, especially, so a bit of context for everyone up there. Ryan lives up in the northeast of Australia, where I live down in the southeast of Australia, and we both are in the old, we'll call it the L down, we'll call it the closure period, but we are both losing our mind. Two men that want to travel the world to do arm wrestling. I obviously want to use the voice box. Ryan wants to use his weapon that is his right arm. So the fact that he's just gone, mate, let's just have a beer and have a chat about arm wrestling. I was all up for it.
Yeah, it's good. And looking at the people that are in the comment section as well, all of the OGs of the YouTube arm wrestling world are there. Timmy Turner, Daniel Urich, Josh Barker, Monster Devon Pickup, Voice of Arm Wrestling, Sweden Arm Wrestling TV. Man, that's a stellar opening crowd.
Oh, mate, and these guys are fantastic. They turn up to my lives, they turn up to your lives, they do their own lives. They are all around because these guys share the same passion that you and I share, Blue. I think we just cop it a bit more because we are from the land down under, but these guys are unbelievably fantastic when it comes to supporting all the arm wrestling channels. And for me personally, because it's been only 14 months. So I looked up the date. It was 14 months ago. I did my very first podcast with yourself. And this big whole journey in 14 months has been absolutely phenomenal. So every single person that always jumps in the comment section, they are a friend of mine, whether they like
yeah. No,
or not.
That's really fascinating, man, that it's been 14 months for you since you've jumped in. I got to take my hat off to you, what you've done in 14 months. I noticed the new backdrop behind you. That's not a green screen, is it?
That is not a green screen. Ladies and gentlemen, I look a bit more professional. This is fantastic. Speaking to some Adelaide guys in Hollywood, Matt Connolly and Dave Stockbridge there. They do that Daily Combat podcast. Got in contact with them and said, I need a backdrop because, one, I think everyone got sick of looking at my kitchen, my lounge room, my, little collections room. Yeah, that's what I mean. But it was funny because I watch everyone else's lives and they're, it's not much is said. But with me, everyone's like, get a green screen. Get a backdrop. So now I've finally got one. So as you can see, I've got the little symbols here, but on the other side, it is just one big symbol. And the reason why I got it was I'm so fortunate what the arm wrestling world has done for me. And just like yourself, Ryan, I think you lead the way and you never get any credit for it. You are always wanting to give back. And that is something that I wanted to give back. I started in my kitchen here in Melbourne, and suddenly I could throw it out there. Most people internationally, if they were to name 5 arm wrestlers in Australia, I would definitely be in the top 3. From the personality of the YouTube side of things. I'm not saying top 3 competitively, although... Oh, you don't think this doesn't go anywhere where I don't go. But it's just been fantastic. So why I want to give back is I want to, it's very hard at the moment, the way the world is, but I want to run matches. I want to make new stars. I think, as you know, Ryan, mate, Australians have just a ripping personality. We are some of the the laid back best people to hang around, and I want more of that on the screen. So
we need it.
if we can run some matches, then absolutely.
Really do. I got to say a quick shout out. The voice of arm wrestling. He says driving and listening to some of my favorite Aussies. Coach Rolly Ray there. Make sure you don't type and drive at the same time there, Ray. But we appreciate that you're watching. But man, he's got a big match coming up too. We're going to get to that pretty shortly. Only 2 weeks away. I love you, Ray, but I've actually staked his opponent in Frodo Hogland. But there's a funny story about that which I'll get to shortly. I actually screw it. I'm going to tell the funny story right now. Ray driving. I staked the wrong arm, Jake.
Oh, you know what's going to happen? That always happens for those that love a bit of punting. When you put money on the wrong thing and then bang, it somehow gets up. So you will win this bet.
Yeah, literally. I was like, I'm super confident. I'm like, Frodo Hogland, I watched him pull against Danny Tesh, and he got dug down in a hook war with Danny Tesh, and he was balanced with Danny, and I know where Danny's at. And no one beats Danny in a hook. And Frodo was right there with Danny. And I'm like, oh, man, there's no way Coach Ray could hang with Danny like Frodo did. So I'm like, I'm putting all my money on on Frodo Hogland's right arm. And then I realized, oh, shit, I bet it on the left arm.
You've got the left arm.
And then I'm quickly looking up Ray's left arm performance. And Ray's a badass on his left arm.
Yeah, Ray would probably be someone that could come close to my third place trophy. Ray, as much as we love that cat-loving son of a gun, that Latvian lover, his left hand is something serious.
Now I'm sitting here nervous that I'm in trouble. And I actually messaged Frodo Hogland and said, dude, this is what I've done. I've accidentally bet on your left arm. I said, where the hell's your left arm at relative to your right? And he's like, it's my weaker arm, but it's my better arm. So I'm like, oh my goodness, don't let me down, Frodo.
It's your weaker arm, but it's your better arm. Wow. I don't know if you can see it, Ryan, but I've got the comments next to me. So I've got Donnie Anderson. He's given you a $2 super chat, and he says, best way to start my day, Blue Bowen and the Aussie arm wrestler. Donnie Anderson, you gem. So and then a lightweight superstar from the Australian arm wrestling. It is Josh Barker saying, how's your training going, Jake? Did you get that 1 rep max PR, Ryan? Ryan, do you want to speak on your 1 max PR?
Yeah. I will. I first just wanted to say thanks to Donnie as well. Thank you. I really, really do appreciate the super chats. Believe it or not, the arm wrestling world, the way that the economy of the arm wrestling world is at the moment, I just can't underestimate or just brush past the value of these super chats. These super chats, guys, really make a difference to people like myself, to people like Jake. To everyone that's growing the sport. Voice of Arm Wrestling, Sweden Arm Wrestling TV. There's no shortage of people. These super chats make a huge difference. They fund so much growth. That what you see in the background there from Jake.
That was super chats, Patreon, sales from shirts. I don't, like yourself, I don't keep any of the money that is made from arm wrestling.
We just want to grow this damn sport. So thank you, Donnie. Thank you, Josh. And in answering your question, Josh, it was a new 1 rep max this afternoon. I did a 1 rep max, and actually, it's probably uploading right now. I think I actually forgot to press publish on it, to be honest. But I did a critical spinner, which is like the multi spinner. I did it from center table, wrist straight, and it was a hard lift, but I managed to pull out, I think, 45 kilos on it, so I was happy. So. And right now, Jake, I'm going through a weird thing in my head with this whole lockdown situation, this whole can't travel anywhere. It's really screwing my mind over. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror these days, and I'm going, I swear I look small. I swear I think I'm getting weaker. I'm looking small. And I'm like, this is just my mind is just against me. Yeah. And I have to go and do these 1RMs, and I have to measure my strength and just to check. And I got the tape measure out this afternoon, and I had 8.5-inch wrist and a 17-inch forearm, which actually surprised me. And I was like, oh man, I didn't realize that it was that size. But I still look at myself in the mirror and I see it as small. So I don't know, the curse of being forever small.
Mate, it's not a curse at all. It's just once you start lifting weights, we all do it. When the Aussie arm wrestler sometimes goes to the gym, he's like, oh, you big fat slob, get in there and get doing it as I sit in my 95 kilos. Mate, it is normal. Once you lift weights, and now you are at the phase where you are getting bigger. And when you get bigger, it gets like that. So when you don't see an improvement, you go through a phase and you're at the gym flat out and you're swollen and you're 95 kilos, you're 98 kilos, you're 102 kilos. And then suddenly you're back to 101 kilos. Your mind plays tricks on you. It absolutely destroys you. So you got nothing to worry about, mate. I have asked your lovely wife to pull the camera back because your shoulders are just getting so huge. People think Ryan is right at the camera, but he's about 3.56 kilometers away from that. He's just looking good. And Josh, just to quickly answer your question, how's my training going? Absolutely terrible. It is disgusting at the moment. When you live in Melbourne, the gym's open for about 13 days at a time, and then they continue to close because I manage a sports and aquatic centre. So I'm constantly in and out of work. I've got little bits and pieces at home for that, but my training is disgusting. But in saying that, it gets me more focused on Aussie Arm Wrestler and the content there.
Yeah. No, well, that's all we've got at the moment, isn't it? Is that Aussie content? We my match with Matsurangi got killed by the lockdown. I got the thing that got to me most was Igor Mazurenko contacting me. I was so grateful to Igor for this. I'm just like, wow, I can't believe it. Igor Mazurenko offering me a spot on the undercard to Lavon Lavon and Dave Chafee. I'm like, I can't believe I had to say no, I can't be there. Like, that to me is just like, what the hell? How can I say no to that?
Madness. Pure madness. First of all, Tim Pipe, you absolute ledge with the $5 super chat, saying, there you go, you big sexy beast.
Did you know Tim Pipe?
Tim Pipe, a very, very decent man.
When we talk about good dudes, Tim Pipe is like up there in good dudes.
Fantastic really dude. Context for everyone watching, I met Tim Pipe at Ryan Bowen's wedding and sat with him and had a few beers with him. Dead set legend. Still speak to him. And in fact, was speaking to him about half an hour ago. We both share love for the Olympics and things like that.
Did you know that he's a black belt in Taekwondo?
I did.
There you go. He's one of those unassuming ninja types that knock your block off without realizing.
But like going back, so you've had to knock back an undercard on one of the biggest matches of the year. Yeah. Put away the personality side of things. As a genuine competitor and as a genuine athlete, how does that make you feel? And in all honesty, well, no, you never pull punches anyway. So how does that make you feel when it's just like, cool, oh, g'day, Igor. Yep, awesome, cool, whatever Eastern European you want me to pin, I'm there, awesome. And then you got to call him back and go, oh, yeah, nah, just kidding, can't. So
Igor messaged me, offered me Irakli Zarakashvili. If you don't know who Irakli Zarakashvili is, he's the number one ranked Georgian at 90 kilos. I'm 100 kilos, so I don't know if there would have had to have been a meet at a certain weight, but irrespective of that, I was just so grateful to Igor, first of all, that he sees my potential as worthy of a super match with Irakli. Because if I'm honest, a lot of the Western arm wrestling world has always seen me as someone who overshoots my reputation versus reality. I don't believe that to be the truth. I believe my reality is as high as I always say and declare it to be. But I've copped a lot of heat from the Western world of arm wrestling. And so for Igor, the head of European arm wrestling, to offer me the Georgian number one at 90 kilos, as someone who has immense respect, I was just so grateful and just like, dude, thank you for offering me this match. I said to him, look, I will put my application in for an ability to travel. I'll talk to my travel agents. I'll get back to you. My travel agent got back to me saying it's going to cost you about $13,000. And I can't advise you to do it because there's no guarantee you'll actually get back into Australia. And I said, okay, that's fine. I'll raise $13,000 for that opportunity. I would.
Yeah.
But then the government came back to me and just said, no, you're not permitted to go. Bang. Cut it off. Totally.
And it was a huge win-win for Igor. It was a very smart decision because two things were going to happen. You were going to go over there and build a great relationship, and then the worldwide phenomenon that is Ryan Bowen pinning a genuine superstar over there. It would have been on the PAL banner. Or the other side of the coin would have been everyone got to see Ryan Bowen lose under the PAL banner. Where whatever side of the fence you sit on, it was a very, if you were thinking business promoting decision from Igor, it was fantastic. And clearly, he either thinks you're fantastic or he just, I reckon he would have put a decent match up because it doesn't mean much if you get smashed 6-0. It doesn't do much for his. He needs to make friends at the moment.
He wanted matches at the end of the day. So the fact that he believed that I would be a worthy match, win or lose. I was really just again grateful for it to hear that from Igor. So that meant a lot to me, and it also meant a lot to me that Irakli was willing to do that as well, because it's the athlete that needs to actually believe in the opponent as worthy as well. So Irakli is someone who's well and truly decorated in that part of the region, of the world. So the fact that he was willing to pull me was awesome, and it would have been such a good opportunity. So how, in answering your big question, Jake, on how it makes me feel, it pisses me off, to be honest.
Good. So it should.
It pisses me off so much that I can't demonstrate. I feel like the last year and a half to 2 years is almost just been, it's like it's been erased from the story of what is my progression. And the longer this period goes where I don't get the chance to give the update, it just frustrates me, man. Like, COVID kicked off 2 weeks before I was due to get on a plane to pull Brennan Lemon Mulvihill in WAL. That got killed. I feel like had I won that and COVID didn't ever fucking pop up, I would have gone from that to another WAL match against maybe a Paul Lynn, to a WAL title match, to pulling European PALs. Like, there would have just been so much more. And instead, it's me and Lockie pulling every week. That's it.
Yeah, there's only two people in Australia pulling. It's madness. I'll quickly touch on that, but Arm Wrestling Television, UK and Ireland. Aussie Arm Wrestler, you're smashing it. Ryan, how many training sessions per day you doing? By the way, you're still cons. We're still convicts. Worrying about something that happened 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, stole that loaf of bread. That's it. But I appreciate that. Arm Wrestling TV, UK, Ireland. That might be Paul Maiden behind that one there, I reckon. So Paul Maiden, if that's you, thank you, brother. If it's someone else, thank you to you as well. But answering that question, how many training sessions I do? For me, my weekly program is broken up into 3 table sessions are my absolute priority. I have a heavy session with Lachlan Adair. I have a technical session with Ethan Tunstall. And I have a volume session with a club where I'll just arm wrestle an entire club until I'm tired. Around those 3 days, then I will have volume every day with my handles, where I'll put 15 to 20 kilos on the cable, pick a favorite handle, put a podcast on, and work for 45 minutes an hour. And I won't count sets and reps. I'll just do that. If I happen to miss a table time session with Lachlan, I'll replace that with a 1RM session on the cables. That's my format. And I only do right arm. My left arm makes an appearance when someone says, "Hey, can I pull left?" And I'm like, do we have to? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's it. So
sessions, going back to missed opportunities. It's starting to get like that. And now it's starting to get like, I mean, you were pulling and when you beat BLM at 601, it was just building and building and building. And now probably the last 6 to 12 months, I'm starting to feel kind of that pain, because a lot of people are wanting me to come over and host events and get over there. And yeah, now I'm just doing it all from here. So I want to go over and meet everyone, even if it's within the country. I want to go and meet everyone, but to get over, some people at Las Vegas want me to go hang out at their club. On the podcast, my very first podcast with you, Ryan, you were like, yep. Well, I run a tournament. I help out in Arizona. We'll go over there. Don't worry about it. A number of times you were thinking of an Aussie top 8 and you were like, yep, you can do it. Oh, my next super match, don't worry about it. You're there. And everything just keeps getting cancelled. So not to your scale, but I kind of, feel the pain. My wife, on the other hand, absolutely loves it because I can do it all from the kitchen. But she would, I just want to get over there, suit up, sit in a chair and call events live because I absolutely love it.
It's I can't wait to see you in that environment, to be honest. I think that you're so naturally gifted toward it. You've got such a talent that it's meant for you. The destiny's there. We just need the opportunity. In the meantime, it's like it's interesting how we've had to evolve business and we've had to evolve what we're doing. And I know for me, like it's looking like literally the only opportunity that I'm going to have in the next couple of months is to pull Lachlan. I don't know. I've got to talk to Lachlan to see if he wants to pull. But whatever I do next, I really want to experiment with you personally commentating live on the stream via a screen share. So I'll go live on my channel with no commentary, but you screen share the match to your channel and commentate it live on your channel. I personally really want to see that and see how the arm wrestling world responds to that. And I'm a big believer in the I don't think the sport's at the point yet where we need to protect and guard live content so closely. Like I don't think that it's so much a race to who gets the content out first. I think that if you're an Aussie arm wrestler fan, you're going to watch the Aussie arm wrestler commentary of it, even if it comes out 3 hours after the Ryan Blue Bowen commentary of it, or the Sweden Arm Wrestling TV commentary of it, or whatever. I'm really up for any super match I do, legitimately just sharing it to anyone who wants to commentate it. If Devin Larratt wants to commentate it, sure, go for it, Devin. If you want to commentate it, sure. If Voice of Arm Wrestling wants to commentate it, screen share it live. I don't care. That helps me. That puts more people watching my match than if it just went on my channel. So that's kind of like where I think business is evolving for people like yourself and I at the moment. And then when eventually we do get the chance to travel in person, nothing's going to be better. Setting it up a genuine commentary at a genuine super match with professional multicam, professional audio on commentary, man, that'll be good.
Oh, mate, this is almost turning into Pornhub, mate. You're just speaking my kind of language, and that's just the way. At the moment, I'm with you. I think there's something unique about it. I think we can work together and content share because a lot of we'll call them the main players. I believe their main interest is making the sport grow. I understand. A few guys, might get their big payday and they might have exclusive rights. And I've got no problem with that either. I understand both sides of the coin, but at times we may just need to try it because it's going to be unbelievable if we can get that. Because we're in a phase where 12 months ago, one, we weren't having any arm wrestling matches. Two, you would have to wait until someone put the footage out. But now we are having live arm wrestling matches. So let's get them on the weekend. We had the Chanshaw John Brzenk last weekend match, and it was brilliant. I got to call John live for the first time. It was unbelievable. There was about 4,000 people, I think, almost up to 4,000 people watching Chance's channel. Now, I think for a smaller channel like me, if the footage was also shared on my channel, it wouldn't have done any harm to Chance's channel, like Travis Bajan shared at the same time, and I don't think it did any damage to his channel. So I think there's room for it. We're still in that growing phase. I think the growing phase, and it can just really build up.
I 100% believe in that as well, and I agree. And I also agree that talent should win. I don't like the idea of restricting you from commentating on a match because I think everyone's going to go to your channel. If you're good enough, if you're that badass of a commentator that everyone wants to go to your channel, then that's awesome. That's going to make the other commentators pick up their game. That's going to make everyone improve. I don't know. I just want to see the sport grow, and I want to see more matches and more commentation. I want to see it more at a professional level. And I actually wanted to do a shout out to Dave Stockbridge and Matt Connolly, because I know what they're building at the moment is just about to be released, and it's something that I want to do as well. And I know it's something down your alley as well, Jake. But those guys are totally grassroots level, but they've invested a significant amount of time, energy, and money into building a studio with multicam, professional sound, live streaming ability, where it will look as good as it can get in terms of live podcasts and commentary. And to be able to have, like, for me, one of the dreams that I have is to do that same thing, but not only in a podcast sense, but have a table and a backdrop and lighting set up there as well, so you can have the matches there. So we, in this time and age where we don't have the ability to travel, I'm foreseeing the best opportunity is going to be to bring internationals to Australia. People that I think it's going to be easier to bring an opponent here than it is for me to get to Ukraine, for instance.
Yeah.
And when that happens, I don't want it to look like the John and Chance match. As much as I love that John and Chance match, it was from a phone, it was dodgy, the internet was bad, it was awful. And it still had a great audience. Imagine if that match was filmed from professional, high internet quality, multicam, perfect audio, and had a commentator doing a great job. Like, it would just, the reach of that match would be tenfold, maybe 100-fold of what it was.
Oh.
So that's what I want to see. And Matt Connolly, Dave Stockbridge are doing big things down there in South Australia towards bringing that to the sport. So I want to shout out to them and go check them out at, what's their channel? It's the
Daily Combat Podcast.
Daily Combat Podcast.
And Hollywood Matt Connolly also has his own YouTube channel, and he just puts on matches all the time at training. He just tries to, fill, it's like he's just got a spatula. He just tries to fill holes, nothing's gone on for a while. All right, he'll get a couple of his guys at the club that he trains at, goes, let's, you guys have a match. And some of them are entertaining as hell. So that's why I want to have matches as well. Now that, it looks a bit better with the banner and everyone's
out of everyone that I've ever been interviewed by, Dave Stockbridge is the best. I've never been.
Whoa! What? Wow. Okay.
Relegated.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time where the Aussie arm wrestler flips the bird at Ryan Bowen and then has to leave. No.
No, I've been interviewed by Dave Stockbridge in two forums. One was over a live microphone in an arena at South Australia when they put on a tournament in front of a strongman crowd. That was actually a real buzz. I had no idea how talented he was, but the interview was so good.
He's good.
It was amazing. My Instagram jumped by like 600 that day, and I put that down to the interview that Dave Stockbridge did in front of the crowd. And I'm like, oh my goodness, wow! Look at that. Nice. He made me look like, to the people that were in this stadium, he made me seem like an absolute superstar of an elite athlete among strength athletes. And I was like, wow, this guy's good. And then when I was interviewed by him on his podcast, his structure, his flow, his questions were so good and professional. I thought, wow, this dude's talented. So Dave Stockbridge, I got an immense respect for. And Matt Connolly's cut from the same cloth as well. He's relentless, he's consistent, he's committed, and he loves what he does. So he's one of those guys that is going to produce results.
Yeah, and they both just want it. They're not about the views. They're not worried about how many people are watching. They're just genuine people that are just enjoying what they're doing. And I think that's one thing that just really comes out. And you've probably seen a lot more than me, Ryan, but I have noticed over the I think it's like 15 to 18 month journey since going on this side of the arm wrestling world, I watch a lot of channels come and go. They come in, they come out, they come in, come out, and a lot of them really care about the views. They really care about other people's opinions. Where I've tuned in sometimes to Dave and Matt sing, and there might be 4 people watching, and they do not care. They love talking about sports. They love the sport of arm wrestling, and that is someone that we all need to get behind and help out as well. I think they're fantastic.
100%. Jake,
second best interviewer. Second best interviewer in Australia would be Dave. Second best.
Timmy Turner's asked a question that I want to address, and it's a question that I've been asked many times in the last couple of weeks. Timmy asked, "Why don't you guys move to Europe or the US where all the top guys are? Imagine the content you could make." Timmy, I wish it was that easy. I really do wish it was that easy to simply up and move. And undoubtedly, I agree with you. To live in Europe, to live in Eastern Europe, to live in the US, I'm envious of how many matches Chance Shaw can get that are just huge matches, all within his backyard. Where for me, I have Lachlan Adair and Ben Carroll, and that's it for me at the moment. But man, life gets in the way, doesn't it? We've got family, we've got children, we've got work,
Look, shout out to Timmy Turner. He's been he jumped really early when I first started, and he's been a huge supporter. I've just got to ask Timmy, are you married? That's the first thing I've got to ask. Yeah, and what I think what you've got to, and also another thing is whenever you speak to Ryan, it took it was 4 years, 7 years. To make your first $3 or something?
4.5 years, I made $34.
$34. So, yeah, when you try and have a conversation with your wife and go, I've got this plan. 4 years, we're going to have enough to take you out for dinner with no dessert. In 4 years, babe, let's move to the other side of the country where we don't speak the language. Look, I really do. I really do wish it was that easy. But where I live in Melbourne, my life here is, besides lockdowns, is amazing. It is perfect. I love it. My family's here. My friends are here. Live in a beautiful country. But yeah, of course, I'd love to go over. I want to do little spurts, go over, commentate WAL for 6 weeks and then come back, go over and still waiting for Neil to invite me, but go over to, Arm Wars for the weekend. Hang out and then come back. Yeah, maybe we need to do a breakdown of how much money videos actually make, because I've got about 25 that have made 1 cent in a month. So I
remember celebrating. I remember celebrating. I in the early days when I made that $34 in the first 4.5 years, I remember celebrating. It was all about percentages for me. It wasn't about the dollars. It was like, hell yeah, I went from making 8 cents last month to making 16 cents this month. And I'm like, that's a freaking kick in the, that's a goal right there.
200%.
That's huge. And I remember, I'll be like, I just do this again. I do this again. I'll do this again. I will get there, damn it. I will get there.
And it's growing now. And it's, you do tell the arm wrestling world that you do this full time, but yeah, I reckon 99% of the people just don't understand the when the camera turns off. It can get a little bit difficult at the time and things like that. I mean, guys on my side of the world, you've got to try and turn to your, and I'm very lucky. I've got a beautiful wife, and say, hey, babe, I'm going to just set the alarm for 2:30 a.m. in the morning. I know you've got work, but I'm going to sit with, what time did we start the turkey event? Like 1:15 in the morning, and we went for 7 hours. And it was, things like that. But what we've got to understand, and I think what YouTubers, if anyone wants to step into this world and being a content creator, my number one thing is just enjoy what you do. Just enjoy. I mean, Ryan's new nickname is Rendering Ryan Bowen. That's your new nickname. It was Blue Balls when I first interviewed you, but now it's Rendering Ryan Bowen, because when anything's happening, there's a video rendering in the background ready to go. But that's fine. That's the dedication, and that's why you're getting your desserts at the moment, and it's truly well deserved.
Yeah. Man, what about what's coming up? We've obviously got Ray and Frodo, and we'll touch on that. But the big one, Lavon and Dave is only it's only a month away now.
A
I think
month.
it's a month away today or something like that. That's that. I feel like Igor, Lavon, and Dave, they're not as good as hyping a match as Devin is, clearly. When we had the Devin Michael Todd match coming up, the whole world, the arm wrestling world, was going psycho about it. I feel like we almost need to help Igor in this and get the people talking, because this is a big match.
It is a huge match. This thing is massive. Not only are the participants huge in it, but we finally get to see Lavon Pool. There is so much talk about him, and the Eastern Europeans, they bow down to him, they treat him like a god, and they kiss his feet whenever he walked. The problem is, yes, Igor is not, over there in Europe, it might be happening, but when you want to hit up the Western world, we needed Hollywood. We needed Hollywood to hype up a match. And the problem is, your main competitor doesn't speak a lick of English. He's a funny dude if you've got time to read the subtitles. And then he's taking on an absolute strong powerhouse that hates interviews. Hates interviews. I was so lucky to get Dave Chafee on the show, and I'll be forever grateful for Dave Chafington Esquire III coming on the show. I even hit him up again, and he knocked me back and things like that. So that doesn't help. But yeah, they need help. If we've got to jump in there and pump this match up. The thing going against them as well is the dates change like 4 or 5 times. So it's hard to get behind it. But yeah, this match is going to be fantastic.
There's so many implications of this match. It has, like, for me, what makes a good match is how significant is the match on the storyline of the sport. Does the match impact the storyline or not? And this match impacts the storyline to a really significant degree. Should Dave Chafee win this match, it flips the Eastern European script upside down. If Lavon wins this match, it's a big told you so from Eastern Europe to the Western world. There's so much riding on this match. It's to me one of the most significant matches in the history of the sport. Dave Chafee, before the passing of Andrei Pushkar, Dave Chafee, it was all about Dave Chafee and Andrei Pushkar were the two that needed to collide. That Dave Chafee was debated and even ranked number 1 by the board of people that vote for ranks amongst the Europeans at one time. Denis Saplenkov, before he got sick as well, it was Dave, Denis, and Andrei. Denis got sick, Andrei passed away, and Lavon came to be the number 1 guy without having to ever go through any of those 3. And yes, I agree, Lavon is the man. He is clearly the man in that region of the world. He is phenomenally strong. He is huge. He is monstrous. He's talented. But he's never faced one of those 3, a healthy Denis, a Pushkar, rest his soul, or a Dave Chafee. So for me, this match is like, well, here we go. This is the match that should have always happened. So John Brzenk has described Dave Chafee as the strongest side pressure that's ever existed. He said no one has more side pressure than Dave Chafee. John Brzenk's more qualified to give that opinion than anyone on the planet. Right. And Lavon has a match in this, Dave Chafee. I think Lavon is the favorite. I think Lavon should go in confident, but oh my goodness, when that power comes down from Dave Chafee and that side pressure kicks in, if Lavon doesn't crack Dave's wrists, watch out.
Well, unfortunately, Dave Chafee is going to ruin the arm wrestling world. What we need is that Cinderella story. We need Lavon to go over and just pin Dave Chafee, and then the chatter. Devin, Lavon. That's the match we want to see. But Dave Chafee is just going to turn up and go, hey, guys, remember me? That's right, Dave Chafee. And he is going to go over and beat Lavon in a month's time. It's going to be unbelievable. I've said it, and I've said it for about the last 12 months when this first match was announced, because I was on the same track as you, Ryan. Beat Denis Saplenkov when he couldn't be beaten. You know, it was like Sarah Connor beating the Terminator. You just couldn't believe it. Went over there, and then he went on and did Game of Arms and things like that. Yes, he did lose to Devon in WAL, but they're different sets of rules. Dave, we all know, he's a PAL, you know, he's a that type of puller, so he's going to sit there comfortably. When I last spoke to Dave, he was just feeling super strong. I mean, everyone, which is great, feels super strong, but I genuinely believe Dave wins. I've got him.
Dave's one of those guys that, again, I refer to a lot of what John has made comment to about Dave. I've asked John, whilst having a beer with John at his place, about all the different arm wrestlers of the world that he's encountered. And Dave, John always represented Dave as one of the most unique and obscure arm wrestlers. And he said, when you grip Dave and when you feel Dave, he feels truly like no one else. He doesn't have a traditional shape to him. He stays very rigid and he twists through his side pressure. He doesn't allow you to cup your wrist. He doesn't allow you to pronate. He keeps you dead center, and his side pressure is phenomenal from there. And it's very hard to deal with. Lavon Lavon wants the top roll. Lavon doesn't. If Lavon goes into a hook with Dave, Dave will crush him. I think before Lavon gets set, that center, that wrist straight, that wrist rigid position, he won't be able to set a hook against it. Dave will stay solid and he'll just go sideways whilst Lavon is trying to set a hook. So Lavon's not going to do that. Lavon's going to try a top roll. And if it's going to go to straps.
Yeah.
It's in straps. If Dave's wrist does not crack, Lavon is gone. To me, that is where the match is won and lost. Is if Dave's wrist cracks, Lavon wins. If Dave's wrist doesn't crack, Chafee wins. It's, to me, that's where the match is. And I agree with you, Jake, that it's a very real possibility. It's like one of those things you're sitting back waiting, going this is a big risk for Igor and these PAL and Lavon. And I know Lavon's not worried about it because Lavon wants to face the best. And I think Lavon respects Dave Chafee. But
100%.
Like you said, for the story, oh my goodness, isn't this a hand grenade that could go off?
And I think Igor's just forgotten to throw it. I think he's forgotten to throw it, and it's just going to blow up in him because, as soon as King of the Table was announced, he would put a poster up of Dave and Lavon and things like that. And it's just going to be, I've said it, and I've said it for months. I made a video 12 months ago, and I said Dave Chafee was going to win. I don't know why. I feel like that's what's going to happen. And it's really going to upset the thing because then the conversation goes for King of the Table or whatever. Who does Devon actually pull? Does he pull the best in the world, which would be Dave Chafee for winning? Or do we get to see that matchup that we've all been dying for against Lavon?
I'd love to see. If Chafee wins, I would still want to see Devon v. Lavon next.
Oh, of course, it'd be entertaining as hell.
Devon v. Lavon has to happen no matter what. And then, but if Chafee wins and Devon beats Lavon, he must then face Chafee again for us to work out who's number one in the world. And then, of course, Vitaly Laletin comes in as well. He looked like he's in monstrous form recently too, so he's going to have his say. But Lavon's a hunted man right now, and I feel like he's being hunted by a few people, namely those three we just mentioned, Vitaly, Devon, and Dave, and they're all very different arm wrestlers, and it's very hard to protect against three very different styles, and those three guys are very different styles. And Lavon, as big and as brutal as he is, I don't know that he can defend that top of the hill for much longer.
You know what?
I think Lavon will fall.
Because he can't. I've just got to quickly go. 2 super chats have come in. One from our man Josh Barker, who says, we need more female arm wrestlers in Australia. We need more female arm wrestlers in Australia. 100%. We need more female arm wrestlers around the world, I think. I always have a joke, funny female arm wrestling story. I went to have my first super match at Arnold's 2019. Ryan, you were there. It was the only time I've seen Danny Tesh pull live. And there were no other competitors. There was 2 in the under 65 kilos. Obviously, at Arnold's, you give out top 3. So my wife, that, has, she struggles to
has
put
an Arnold's
pieces
medal
together, jumped on and got 2 bronze medals. So we definitely do need more female arm wrestlers.
On female arm wrestling, I got to spend a fair bit of time when I pulled the WAL card with both Marlon Kleinsmith and Fia Isaac. And I don't think there's a country on the planet that does female arm wrestling better than Sweden. And I asked those ladies, I said, what is the story? How did Sweden do what they've done? How did you guys get to be such a superpower and have such a strong female contingent? And I think their female contingent outperforms their male contingent quite significantly on the global scale of arm wrestling credibility. And their answer was schools, and Heidi Anderson, who is I think the cousin of Fia Isaac. She had the initiative to get arm wrestling into schools, and she did that, and she got a table into I think nearly every high school in Sweden, and held a school championship, national school championship, where each school would bring their best forward and they'd face. And the thing is, I've had the opportunity to do a similar thing. There was a school.
I remember that
on the Gold Coast, and arm wrestling got to be there. And when you arm wrestle kids under the age of 12, I'll tell you right now, it's a totally even playing field between girls and boys. There is the boys don't dominate by any stretch. And on that day, when I arm wrestled that day, there was this one girl that was 12 years old that had these thick wrists and just awesome hands. And as soon as I gripped her, I'm like, oh my goodness, you are such a natural talent. And I said to her straight away, I said, you got to arm wrestle your teacher. The teacher was a female, an adult female. And she's like, oh, you think I could do it right? I'm like, yeah. Arm wrestle. Yeah, I'll call your teacher over. You arm wrestle your teacher. And I called the teacher over and I said, come and arm wrestle this young girl here. And the teacher said to me, oh, I don't want to hurt her. And I said, trust me, you're not going to hurt her. You are not going to hurt her. She's going to hurt you. Anyway, they grip up, and this 12-year-old girl just crushes the teacher. And the look in this 12-year-old girl's eyes of just excitement and exhilaration and thinking, wow, the thrill of that win was amazing. And so what Sweden has done, and what Heidi Anderson did, and what Fia mentioned to me, was she said the seed has to be planted in girls when they're still competitive with the boys, under the age of 12.
Yep.
Because they feel that exhilaration, they get the taste of victory, they fall in love with the sport by being able to compete with the boys in school. Then they go on and stick with it. It's very hard to get adult women from scratch interested in the sport of arm wrestling. It's such a male-dominated sport. It's just hard. It's really hard, as we know in Australia. We've tried many times, and we get no more.
Can't get it. We can't find the formula. We just don't know how to do it.
Honestly, it's schools. I think Sweden has done it right. They proved the point. They're the best female arm wrestling nation in the world. Maybe them and Russia. I've never asked the Russians how they got their females to be so dominant.
They were just forced in. They were just plucked out of schools. Russia, you come here. You arm wrestle. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a tricky thing, but I think we get there. So if and when we get into schools, which takes legislation, which takes insurance, because you don't want kids getting injured, all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of things to it, but
absolutely.
Anyway.
We got another super chats have come in, Ryan. Derek Smith in the house. Big bad Derek says, couple of my favorite Aussies. G'day, gents. Ryan, don't hate me when my rap song comes out.
Oh my goodness, Derek, I can't wait. That's all right. I'm well and truly comfortable in the space of being ridiculed now in the arm wrestling world. So it's all good, Derek. You do what you do best. I can't wait. Just send me a copy.
Did you get ridiculed in the arm wrestling world? Wouldn't have known. Wouldn't have known. I'm going to have a chat with Derek tomorrow morning in exactly 12 hours, actually. In exactly 12 hours. Another one from our man, Criggy, Christian from Sweden, Arm Wrestling TV. He says, something good to come out of this is arm wrestlers jumping on the YouTube game. That way they will spread the gospel of arm wrestling even more. And that is something I totally agree. And I was actually sharing the story with my wife a bit earlier. I was very lucky enough to have Matt Mask on the show very, very early on. And I said, why don't you have a YouTube channel? And he, I can't be bothered and things like that. I said, mate, but you won't have to work. I said, your caliber. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I've only been around for, I think it was 4 months or 5 months, and I've been able to build a persona. So the whole world already knows you. So not many people know me. So if you do it, like, you'll get monetized straight away. I said, you are a character. You're an absolute character of the sport. And you could do videos of you having lunch and everyone would tune in because you're an elite athlete and we need to see this. And he went on one video, 10,000 subscribers on his first day or something like that. It was unbelievable.
Point, didn't it? Prove the point that demand is out there, the people are there, the characters of the sport definitely have an opportunity. And I believe Matt Mask's earnings on YouTube within 3 months of him creating that channel were equivalent to mine. And shows you how quickly it can be done. And like you said, he didn't do anything special. He just did random live videos of him talking about his match with Hermes and his preparations and what he thinks about Pro Nation. And like you said, having lunch and there you go. So yeah, it is this period of time, as Sweden Arm Wrestling TV has said, has brought more people in the arm wrestling world to YouTube. Collectively, the sport's growing. So it's a good time in that respect. Hey, Jake, I've seen an interesting topic come up in the chat that I think deserves some attention. And it's, I don't know if you saw the post from Reza. Reza made a very controversial post. Actually, let me find it. I don't want to misquote Reza on this because
that's right. While you find that quote, let me take over. Guys, one of the things, I don't know why I am such a weirdo. Can everyone in the comments let me know from around the world where you are? I'm seeing people saying it's 3 a.m. here, it's 4 a.m. here. I absolutely love it. There's a lot of chatter about people's mums' names, but there's a lot of chatter about the John Chance match, which we'll probably get into. But let me know from whereabouts around the world you are from. I know some of you guys already in the chat. There's Scotland and the US, but whereabouts and what time of the day it is. But I don't know why, but I just find it fascinating, and I think it's brilliant that a bloke, Jonathan Laba in the chat. You shared something today on Facebook about Jonathan. He seems a character, and I'd like to maybe have an introduction with Jonathan. He seems like a fun dude.
Well, Jonathan's a killer.
Yeah.
The Jonathan Lava Show. If you haven't seen, search on YouTube, the Jonathan Lava Show. He's done like 4 or 5 episodes. They're outstanding. They're absolutely outstanding. The dude's a serious talent when it comes to comedic value mixed with arm wrestling. Jonathan's one of a kind.
Yeah, I've only heard good things. I think Mike Allo first dropped his name to me a while ago, but he seems good. But just quickly going through, we've got Brooklyn, Scotland, Turkey, Netherlands, Germany, Washington State, West Virginia, Central Europe, California, Australia. We've got Denmark, Fort McMurray, Canada. Mate, this is ridiculous. We got a couple of Brizzy guys. Thailand, Pancake Islet, Germany, Bangkok, Thailand. This is just, I don't know why. I just find it unreal. But the fact that we can have a chat about arm wrestling and literally people from around the world are sitting and having a laugh with us.
It's very cool. Jake, in the meantime, I found the post from Reza Dilmaganian. Okay, now Reza's I believe he's a WAF qualified referee, quite established in that respect. He lives, I think, in the southwest of the USA. So I've had him referee my matches before. Good ref, nice guy. Came out with a post that really put a target on his back. And it was after the Chance and John match. And I'll read it to you now. It says, over the years, I've found that this sport of arm wrestling is pretty much a lie on who wins matches. It's often determined by promoters and refs, not the athletes. As a ref, I like the athletes to determine matches. And now after watching what I saw last night, referring to John and Chance, I can honestly say that John Brzenk isn't the GOAT. He may have been. John Brzenk is a cheater and a master cheater. Sorry if that hurts feelings, but the truth is the truth.
So how do you not become the GOAT? Like, if you're the greatest of all time, Reza seems like a character. I've watched a couple of his shows on a channel that he's doing. Seems like a nice guy. But how do you, after one match not become the GOAT. It's like saying if Michael Jordan has a bad game, he's not the greatest anymore.
Yeah, well, it's not that he had a bad. For me, the big issue is that Reza's blaming. Reza's trying to say that John's a cheat and therefore discrediting 5 decades worth of arm wrestling. Spanning his teens, his 20s, his 30s, his 40s, his 50s, John has been recognized as the greatest in the world for his weight category across 5 different decades. So statistically, John's the #1 athlete in the history of sport, in my book. I don't think you can actually find an athlete that has dominated in 5 different decades of their life to the top of the ranks in the world. So straight away, first of all, I think it's the most ridiculous statement I've ever seen in the world of arm wrestling to say that he's not the GOAT. Now, the reasoning for him saying he's not the GOAT, he's trying to say that John's a master cheater. And I love the comment from Timmy Turner. Timmy Turner wrote a comment in here that triggered me to think about this. He said, John beat Chance because he's the superior arm wrestler. Is he supposed to dumb himself down on table IQ to make it fair? Chance should just accept the defeat and move on. Now, I don't think that Chance hasn't accepted the defeat, but Reza certainly needs to accept the fact that an arm wrestling match starts when your names are called, not when the word go happens. Everything that happens in a setup manipulation, the control of the referee, the control of your opponent, the control of the energy, the control of how the strap gets tightened, the control of everything is part of what makes you a good arm wrestler. Setup ability is enormous. Now, so if you believe that Chance Shaw got an inferior setup, there is no one to blame except Chance for that. You can't be the GOAT by just being strong. To be the GOAT, you need to be strong, like really strong, which we know John is, and you need to be talented. You need to be able to pull in every position, which you can do, and you need to win setups, which John does. So I don't know. The controversy from Reza to me was one of the most ludicrous posts I've ever seen, and I think he's made his bed. He's got to learn to sleep in it for a while.
Yeah, just going on that. I think a couple of rounds Chance even went early and they just pulled anyway. So, Reza's been around the game for a very, very long time. So he knows, like for me, it starts as soon as I walk in a building. I'm like, I'm feeling strong. You've got no chance. I can't believe it. Today I just woke up and I max benched at the gym and things like that. And it's all a game. And it's all a game to say that John cheated on that day. Like, you're a good dude, but you've missed the mark.
Devin Larratt does the same thing. When you watch, I got to witness Devin Larratt at WAL when he was facing Dave Chafee, and that Devin was nervous about that match. I promise you, Devin was nervous about that match. But Devin was in that fight, like you said, the day that we entered the building. As soon as he was in the same room as Dave Chafee, hours before the match, he was already in that fight. Even down to the point of Devin only will stand towards his opponent like this. He will never stand open. He will always stand to them, showing a closed shoulder, showing dominance. He won't shake their hand. If he does shake their hand, it's always over the top. His body, he said to me literally, no, on the day of the match, every single ounce of energy that I project towards my opponent is projecting, I'm more dominant than you. I'm more dominant than you. So, yeah, the match starts so much before the go. It's ridiculous.
And they call the greatest of all time the biggest cheater. Now, does this all come from State Kings? Now, has Reza thrown a few $100 on the slab, and it's just got a bit of, just a bit of salt in his mouth that he's lost a few $100 that he really thought Chance was going to go and dominate. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, no, I don't think. From everything that I watched with John, and there was a lot of times where the both of them were negotiating in the middle. If you go back and watch the match, and Chance was pointing and things like that, and then John would move and adjust. And he's just fantastic. John is just unbelievable at pulling when you're a champion. For 25 years in a row, you don't lose that quickly. It's like, it's like Neil Pickup not knowing how to talk. He doesn't commentate for 5 years and then comes back and is like, oh, Neil, you don't know how to talk anymore. Of course Neil knows how to talk. Just water off the ducks back pinning people. And John wouldn't have taken this match if he didn't think he had a chance as well. And then when he started trash talking on Facebook, that's when I threw all of my $20 on John because I was just like, John doesn't speak much at all in the social media side of things.
The moment I saw him trash talking was the moment I thought, well, it's absolutely done. John doesn't trash talk. The fact that John's trash talking, it's over. My wife bet her entire birthday money on it, and she was happy dancing in the kitchen watching that match. It was pretty cool.
I found it awesome. And John, if you're watching, we need to have a chat, John. We need to have a chat. That would be just something of mine that I would absolutely love just to meet you, mate. It doesn't even have to be on camera. I just need to meet the greatest of all time.
I haven't spoken in length with John since the match. I spoke with John at I think it was 3:30 a.m. for him local time. I messaged him as a congratulations. The next minute he's responding. I'm like, "What the hell are you doing awake?" And he's like, "Oh man, the party's still going." So he was on a high, but he said, "Yeah, the match was tough. It wasn't as easy as it perhaps looked." And he said he certainly gave respect to Chance. He said trying to hook Chance is near impossible. So credit there, but his wrist is still vulnerable, and I could top rolling him felt safe. And that's exactly how I thought it would go, given that I've felt Chance and I felt John. I thought John's hand and wrist up top was superior. And as soon as John went up top, that would be the case because Chance's wrist was inferior to mine when I went up top. So it went the way that I expected, and John was happy with it. And what I like seeing about John is John's excited for another match. He's keen for another one. Let's line him up. He's saying so. So to know that the GOAT is keen to go again and see how high he can actually get again is really cool.
Mate, it's going to be. It's going. I just can't believe that he's just come out and taking all these matches. And credit the Chance. If you go back to my live stream before the event, I said exactly how it was going to go. I said round one, he's going to try and go strength for strength and see how he goes. And he's got a bit out power when they called that elbow foul. And then he'll just win 3-0 because he'll adjust. Like he's so smart. So it was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable effort by an unbelievable guy that can just turn something on a dime. It was just really beautiful to watch, to set, adjust, move, and really just go, okay, well, I'm not going there. Well, now I know exactly where I'm going to hit and hold, and that's where I'm just going to have you.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was good. And whether he pulls David Dadakan next or someone in between, it's just so good to see John back competing and enjoying the sport. He looks, and again, when I've spoken to him recently, his shoulder's not giving him the same trouble that it has in the past, so that's good. And he's enjoying it, and he's excited by it. So, like I said earlier, I think John is actually the most dominant athlete in the history of sport, if we're talking statistics. Like I said, teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. 5 decades of his life, he has been the rank one in the world for his weight category.
He's been unbelievable. So if he does pull before top 8, who does he pull?
Man, well, he's going to Norway. He's going to be there for that Coach Ray Frode Haugland match. Ooh. I don't know if someone over Norway is going to hit him up. Maybe, I don't know. But he has promised me. He said the instant this 2-week lockdown in Australia, 2-week quarantine in Australia nonsense disappears, he'll come to Australia. So he said he owes me a trip to Australia for sure. So John will come to Australia.
Yes.
And if John comes to Australia, I'm having a super match with him. That's it.
So you should be stupid not to. I'd probably be annoyed if you just put all these training videos up and didn't have a ready go with him. I'd be very.
Yeah. They would. I would have to do it. It would be such an honor. It would be ridiculous. John's actually one of the rare people that actually he knows where I'm at and he says where I'm at. A lot of people disagree with where I say I'm at, but if they've ever gone and listened to where John thinks I'm at, John gives a pretty accurate appraisal. He's like, oh yeah, here's where you're at. He says to me, there is no way I would let you get to the straps because in the straps, I'm not sure I could beat you. That's what John says to me. I'm like, and that to me is a big compliment. I'm like, hell yeah, John, I'm going to get to those damn straps. But I know how hard it is to get to the damn straps against John. So He agreed to straps with Chance. He said it's funny, literally talking to him about the match with Chance prior to it, and when he was telling me about the rules that he had agreed to strap match with Chance, he jokingly said there's no way I would ever agree to a strap match with you. So just know that.
Yes. No. Oh man.
Yeah.
John
So if John
Australia.
does come out to here, I would love to pull him, and he's promised me that he will come to Australia as soon as our 2-week thing is lifted. I mean, he was supposed to be at our wedding, which would have been amazing. Imagine having John in the after pulling at the wedding. Would have been good. But
Oh wow.
anyway.
Yeah. I might have had a couple of stumbling words while I was hosting. I would just be kind of just glaring over to him while on your special day. Oh yeah, Ryan and Joe. I'll get to the bride and groom in a minute. Johnny boy, Johnny. It was it would have been unreal if you come down. It's just good for anywhere. When John can go anywhere, it is nothing but good for the sport to be able to have the greatest, still active. Same with Devon. Devon's been the most influential on the social media side of things. Both of them together have inspired generations of pullers. You know, they're both almost at that stage where if you don't know arm wrestling, you still know them. You know, it's like, oh, I don't know professional wrestling. That's that thing Hulk Hogan does. Oh, the ball thing. That's the thing Michael Jordan does. Yeah. And it's almost at the stage where it's like, oh, that arm wrestling thing. That's the thing that John guy, that Devon guy do. You know, they're in a very the way the sport is going, they're in a very high prestige to even have that. So get him to Australia now.
It'll happen. But all in all, man, I think we've been talking for a little bit over an hour. I'm just, despite all of the lockdowns, despite all the craziness, I'm actually pretty happy with where the sport's at in terms of we've actually got through COVID pretty well in terms of keeping content rolling and keeping matches happening. And I'm thankful that we get to do breakdown episodes and commentaries and all that sort of stuff. So I think
it's been perfect for me. It's as much as it's frustrating now. I almost needed the world to fall apart because when I came in, it was good timing. The world needed something slightly different. They needed a laugh. They needed someone that didn't care. And I just come in and the right people had just, you were one of the first ones that jumped on and went, whoa, I haven't seen this guy. What's this over here? And then we built from there. So yeah, of course now I'm ready for the whole world to pull their head in and get back to so we can move around the world. But the early stages, I was actually very grateful because people like yourself and everyone else that's been on the show, especially the early days, obviously they weren't preparing for matches. They weren't sure what was going to happen. So I was like, hey, do you want to come on this weird guy's show and have a laugh? And they're like, yeah, well, I haven't got anything else to do, so let's take a chance. And it's worked out. It's worked out good for me. But I'm with you. Yeah, of course, we're both happy with everything. You're recently married. Joanne's beautiful, and training's going well, and you've got a really good crew up there in Brisbane. But yeah, of course, we're going to get a bit greedy and a bit frustrated, and we want to go. Well, I get frustrated not only as a host and a commentator, but I get frustrated as a fan. Now, anyone that goes back to any video I've done knows I am one of the first-class premium ticket holders on the Ryan Bowen train. Whenever, who would win out of Ryan Bowen and this? I'm calling it. I don't know if it's patriotic or whatever. I'm like, Ryan wins. And I tell you what, you're on a 11 super match win streak, so I haven't been wrong in the process.
Yeah, I just want to get that 12th one knocked over. I don't care who it is. Give me anyone. But hey, as we wrap up, I wanted to say a big shout out and thank you to everyone in the chat. A bunch of you guys in there tonight that have been very entertaining. I really enjoyed you there. And I wanted to, the one last topic that I wanted to touch on, Jake, before we do go is the Coach Ray v. Froda Hoagland match. And the reason I want to touch on it is Voice of Arm Wrestling is still in the chat. He has written a comment saying, we have a tournament tomorrow. So while you guys are, sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. Let me find it. Hang on, where'd it go, Coach Ray? Oh, this was bad timing. But anyway, from memory, it said something like he's been out to the shops. He's come back. Here we go. He's been and bought trophies, bought supplies, cleaned the gym pool, bought lunch. Now he's home on his PC and he's still listening to us rattle on about arm wrestling in the world. So let's end it with a prediction on Frodo Hoagland v. Coach Ray, left and right, 6 rounds each arm. I meant to bet on the right arm. I accidentally bet on the left. Coach Ray, you're probably laughing on that one, but who you got?
Now, I'm throwing it out there. Now, I am not one to piss in anyone's pocket. Everyone knows I've got a great relationship with Coach Ray, and you do the fix all the time with the cat-loving superstar. But for me, and knowing the process of what's been happening, there's not much happening in Norway, and there hasn't been not much happening where Coach Ray has been able to do a lot. So I'm going to say there is that Frode has no way of beating Coach Ray both arms. I am going both arms to the Coach Ray. I think Coach has been able to do a lot more training, some matches. He got to attend King of the Table. He got to go to Larry Wheels. But my man, and Frode, he's the second most handsome man in the arm wrestling world. He's not allowed to directly look at my wife in the eye. So I'm very petrified when I had an interview with Frode. But I just think the lack, and Frode is fantastic. He's super strong and everything. But I'm just thinking with the lack of what he has been able to do. And obviously we haven't seen much of him. So I'm going a very close one. It's going to be 4-3 on the right, because it's going to be 3-all, and they're going to have to go and have a winner. And then Coach Ray with his left's going to take it 4-2.
Oh my goodness! All right, well, for me, that's like I said, I went into this whole situation thinking I was betting on right, thinking Coach Ray, he's better on his left than he is on his right. I know Frodo Hoagland is a machine on his right. He has the endurance of a friggin' ox. He will go all day. He has historically been in a hook with Danny Tesh and stuck it out. And I think Frodo actually got a premature call against him, which ended the match. And I actually think that match would have gone on forever. So he's one of the rare humans on earth that has actually sat in a hook with Danny Tesh and lived to speak of it. So I was like, no way could Frodo lose to Coach Ray if he could hang with Danny Tesh. I'm betting the house on him. And then I realized I bet it on the left. And then I'm paranoid. I'm like, oh shit, Ray's really good on left. But I messaged Frodo and said, dude, I accidentally bet on left. What are you going to, how good's your left? He says it's his better arm, but it's not his stronger arm. I'm in a tailspin and a panic. I think Coach Ray is going to make me burn on this one, and he's going to win. I think Coach Ray's going to win 4-2 on left, and Frodo Hoagland's going to win 4-2 on right.
Ooh, good prediction. It's going to be great. I can't wait. That's August 20th.
2 weeks away. It's close.
2 weeks away. Yes. I mean, there's plenty of matches happening on the weekend. I mean, we could sit here for another hour and break down so many more matches that are coming up. But yeah, that'll be a good one. That'll be fun. We're good to see Frodo back in action. We haven't seen him in a couple of years. And of course, it's everyone's favorite coach in Coach Ray. We all love the way he goes about it, especially, and because Coach Ray is that smart, he brings his own chalk to events. So we don't want more chalkgate like we saw at King of the Table. So if the Norwegians have watched a bit of TV, they'll have the chalk ready to go.
Good stuff. All righty, Jake. Well, thank you very much for joining me tonight, man. It was a real buzz. Like I said, an impromptu live tonight, just feeling the mood. Thought no one better to call than Jake Ward, Aussie arm wrestler. So thank you, sir, for being on. That left arm of yours looking in fine form. Of course, there it is.
Oh, no, always appreciate it. I was walking my dog at the time when you messaged me, and you know I'm always up for a chat. It doesn't even have to be on screen. You know, we always love just having a beer and shooting it. But yeah, everyone in the comments, you guys know how much I love and appreciate each and every one of you. A lot of you reach out to me personally, and I just absolutely love it. I love that you guys have taken me from, you know, a fan to something in the arm wrestling world, and I'll always be grateful for it.
No, absolutely. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time we do this. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good time wherever you are, morning, night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. All right, we are ended.